Terms. The general form of a term looks like this, where the a is some number, and it is called the numerical coefficient, and often referred to just as the coefficient. The x to the n is the variable part, and it includes the exponent. The first thing we need to practice is picking off the coefficient of terms. So for our first term, 4x squared, the coefficient is the number part. So our coefficient is 4. On the next one, negative 3x to the fourth. Our coefficient is the number part. It does include the sign. So our coefficient is a negative 3. For our third term, x, what number can be multiplied by something and give you back the same thing? 1. 1 is the multiplicative identity. It's the only number that can be multiplied by something and give you back the same thing. So our coefficient of x is 1. I didn't say x is 1. The coefficient of x is 1 because 1 times x is still x. And for our fourth one, negative x, the coefficient would be negative 1. It will include the sign. Terms are separated by the signs. So in this expression, our first term is 5x. This negative starts the next term. Negative 3y is our second term, and our third term is positive 2. So your sign will go with the piece after it. Next, we need to learn to do the arithmetic operations with terms. For addition and subtraction, we can only work on like terms. Like terms have exactly the same variable part. Here are some examples of like terms. 2x and 3x, because each have x for the variable part. Negative 5y and 2y, because each have y for the variable part. Here are some terms that are not like terms. 4x squared and 4x, because 4x squared includes the 2 as part of the variable part, and this one is just x, so they are not identical. And the next one, 3x squared y and 3xy squared. Sometimes you have to just look really close, but these are not identical, so those are not like terms. The ones we care about are the ones that are like terms because they are the ones we can combine. To combine like terms, we're going to combine the coefficients, watching your sign rules. If you have like signs, add, keep the sign. Different signs, subtract, sign of the larger. Then we will keep the variable part, just one copy of the variable. For our first example, we're asked to simplify 2x plus 3x. We make sure they're like terms. They are. They both have an x for the variable part. So we're going to combine coefficients. A positive 2, positive 3 gives us 5. And keep the variable part. For our next example, simplify negative 5y plus 2y. They are like terms because they both have y. So we're going to combine the coefficients. We have a negative 5 and a positive 2. Those are different signs, so we're going to subtract, sign of the larger, and keep the variable part. Our next example, simplify 4x plus x. These are like terms. They both have x. For our coefficients, we have a positive 4. And don't forget your 1. That's the coefficient of the x. So this is equal to 5x. Now we're ready for a more advanced example. Simplify, and we'll pick out the like terms. So first we'll do the x terms. 5x and minus 2x. These are different signs. We're going to subtract, sign of the larger, so positive, keep the variable. Then we'll do the y terms. Remember, the sign is with the piece after it. And these are like signs. We're going to add and keep the sign. One copy of the variable. And last, we'll do our constants. These are like signs. So we're going to add and keep the sign. Here's another example. Notice this one has x squared and x terms. Remember, they are not alike. And we'll go in what's called descending order. It just starts with the highest exponent and goes down. It's a standard order that's used to write our answer. So we're going to pick the x squared terms and do those first. We're working with the coefficients. They are like signs. We're going to add and keep the sign. One copy of the variable. Then we'll do our x terms, negative 5x, positive 7x. Those are different signs, so we're going to subtract and sign of the larger. So 7 minus 5 is 2, and the larger is 7. So we want a plus 2x. We do need to write the plus so the terms don't run together. And last, we'll do our constants. These are different signs, so we're going to subtract. 4 minus 1 is 3, and sign of the larger, so sign from the 4. Next, we'll look at multiplying one number times a term. Simplify 3 times 5x. Notice this is all multiplication. We could regroup if we like because of the associative law of multiplication. So we could choose to regroup and multiply the 3 times 5 first and then times the x. If we did that, we would know to do 15 and just keep the x. Here's another example. Simplify negative 2 times 3y. It is all multiplication, so we could regroup and do negative 2 times 3 and then times the y. So we'll multiply. We only have one negative. That's odd, so negative. So get negative 6y. After you do a few of these, you realize that just the numbers are going to multiply and you're going to attach the variable. So you really don't have to go through the regrouping process. Next, we'll look at a multiplication problem that needs a new rule. Notice it is not just all multiplication. You have multiplication between the negative 2 and the parentheses, but inside you have addition. And if we looked inside first, you cannot do anything because those are not like terms. They both don't have a y. So we need a method to get the parentheses off, and this is called the distributive property. Multiplication distributes over addition and subtraction. So we'll take the number that's outside, the negative 2, and we'll multiply it by each piece that's inside. You'll have as many multiplications as you have terms inside. For a couple of problems, I'll write the steps and then it's easier to do in your head. So we're going to do negative 2 times 3 gives us a negative 6. Then we'll do negative 2 times y gives us negative 2y. After you finish distributing, take the parentheses off. So our answer is negative 6 minus 2y. Our next example, simplify negative 5 times 2x plus 3y minus 4. Notice there are no like terms inside, so we have to distribute to get the parentheses off. We'll take the negative with the 5 and multiply by each term inside. So we're going to do negative 5 times 2x will give us a negative 10x. We'll do negative 5 times 3y will give us a negative 15y. Then we'll do a negative 5 times a negative 4. Multiplying, you have two negatives, that's even, so it gives you a positive 20. Notice your signs here are never just bringing these down. It's the answer to the multiplication. So when we had two negatives multiplied, it gave us a positive. After you distribute, take the parentheses off. This is our answer, negative 10x minus 15y plus 20. Next, we'll multiply 4 times 2x squared minus 5x plus 1. So our 4 is going to distribute. We'll have 3 multiplications. So we're doing 4 times 2x squared. Only the numbers are going to multiply. Will give us an 8x squared. Notice the variable did not change. Then we'll do 4 times a negative 5x. Will give us a negative 20x. And 4 times 1 gives us 4. We do need to put the plus there so the terms don't run together. After we finish distributing, we take the parentheses off. 8x squared minus 20x plus 4. Now we're ready for a longer example. We would go to the parentheses first. Inside, notice we can't do anything. They are not like terms, W and 2. So to get the parentheses off, we have to distribute. We will go up through the sign, never go past the sign. So we're going to distribute the 6 to the parentheses. So 6 times W will give us 6W. 6 times 2 will give us 12. Take the parentheses off and bring down the rest. So I'm going to bring down the 3. I need a sign for my 6W. And I'll bring down the W. And now I'm going to go for like terms. So my W terms I'll find. And don't forget your 1 in front of this. So 6W plus 1W will give us 7W. And then my constants, 3 plus 12, both positive. So we're going to add, and that will give me 15. I do need the plus in between so the terms don't run together. So 7W plus 15. Notice at the beginning, for order of operations, we had to distribute and multiply this 6 with the parentheses. We could not jump here and do this addition. Multiplication goes before addition. This problem is a little bit tricky, but there are two ways you can think of it. You can think of it as take the opposite of everything inside. Opposite of 3x would be negative 3x. Opposite of a negative 2 will be a positive 2. Or you can think of this as a negative 1 on the outside that you would distribute to the parentheses, and that would give you a negative 3x, and multiplying here the two negatives would give you a positive. So you can think of it either way. It doesn't matter if you write the 1, but you're going to distribute the negative 3x, and two negatives multiplying here will give you a positive, and then take the parentheses off. For this example, go to the parentheses. You can't do anything inside, so you're going to distribute. Go up through the sign. You never go past the sign. The 5 has nothing to do with the parentheses, only the negative. So this is like our negative 1. So negative 1 times x will be a negative 1x or negative x. And negative 1 times a positive 1 will give us a negative 1. Parentheses comes off. Bring down your 5. And now we'll combine the like terms. So we only have one x term. And I like my variable first, so I'll put it. And then our constants, a positive 5 and a negative 1, different signs subtract sign of the larger. If you wrote the other order 4 minus x, that's the same. It doesn't matter which order you have as long as you have the right signs with the right pieces. Next, we'll look at a problem with nested grouping symbols. We're going to start at the innermost set and work our way out. So we go inside the parentheses. There's nothing we can do. There's no like terms. And so we'll distribute. We'll take the -7 and distribute to the parentheses. This gives us a -7x, and -7 times 1 gives us -7. The parentheses comes off, but not the bracket. When you do the nested symbols, you work in a cycle. You do like terms distribute, like terms distribute. So we just did distribute. We should have ended up with some like terms. And we did get some like terms. Our constants in here are like terms. So we'll combine those. That is not going to take the brackets off. So we're going to keep that. Our -7x, nothing goes with it. Our 3 and our -7, different signs subtract, sign of the larger. We still have the bracket. That was doing like terms. Now we're ready to distribute again. So we'll take the 2 times the terms in the bracket. 2 times a -7x will give us a -14x. 2 times -4 gives us a -8. Take the brackets off, bring down the rest, and now we're back to like terms one more time. The -14x and the -5x are like terms. They both have x. Combine the coefficients. They are like signs. We're going to add, keep the sign, one copy of the variable, and bring down the -8. So just go in a cycle. Like terms, distribute, like terms, distribute, and then like terms again. Let's look at simplifying an example that has nested grouping symbols. You will start at the innermost set, and there's nothing that you can do inside, so to get the parentheses off, you will distribute the 5. And that will give us 5 times x is 5x. 5 times 1 gives us +5. Parentheses comes off, and bring down the rest. When you work on nested grouping symbols, it works in a cycle. So you do like terms, you distribute, you do like terms, you distribute. So we just did distribute. We should have some like terms. And we do have some like terms inside the bracket. Our constants are like terms, so they can go together. 5 and a -2 will give us a 3. Combining like terms does not take the bracket off. Now we'll look back in the bracket. Everything's simplified, so we're ready to distribute again. We'll distribute the -3. Make sure you include the sign. So -3 times 5x will give us a -15x. -3 times 3 will give us a -9. Bracket comes off. Bring down the rest. And now you're going to go for like terms one more time. So our x terms are like terms. What's your signs? You have different signs. Subtract, sign of the larger. So a -10x. And our constants are like terms. -9 and +4. Different signs. Subtract, sign of the larger. So that will give us a -5.